All right, you're listening to 91.5 WUML Lowell Blues Deluxe, and it's my honor and pleasure to introduce to everyone Murali Coryell. Hey, Murali.
John, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a while since I've last seen you, but we've chatted. We've done a phone interview before, but we've never done it this way, which I'm glad we're able to do that now.
This is the world we live in now,
Yeah.
John. And one of the songs I wrote years ago is called "Standing the Test of Time," and I'm glad for those of us who are still here after all these years,
Yeah.
as the year as the years go passing by, as Albert King would say,
Yeah.
um, that are still doing it for the love of the game, so to speak.
So let's talk about growing up. You live in the New York area, is that correct?
Yes, I live near Woodstock.
So you grew up in New York, the New York area.
Well, I was born in New York City, and at the time we lived in Westchester, in Nyack.
Yep.
Um, However, I don't really remember that much. And then so the first things I remember was living in Scotland. We lived with Jack Bruce, the bass player and singer for Cream, and my dad was playing with him and Mitch Mitchell in a post Jimi Hendrix, type band. And so the first thing I remember is chasing sheep in tall fields of grass in Scotland. And then we moved to Pennsylvania, Doylestown, PA, which is in Bucks County, and we lived on an abandoned farm, so we were still like in a farm area. And then we moved to Connecticut, and then we lived in Fairfield County, in different places, Westport, Wilton, New Canaan, for many years, and then eventually, um, well, my parents got divorced, and then my mom moved to Woodstock, New York, and my dad went off and did what he did, and that's how I wound up, in the Hudson Valley
Yep.
region of New York, and I got a degree in music theory and composition from SUNY New Paltz, and I never left the area. And
And your father was Larry Coryell, the great Larry Coryell.
yeah, Dad was Larry, and it was his birthday just a couple of days ago on April 2nd.
Wow. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yep. And you know, when people die, they're your parents. They never really leave you, and so I'm still reminded. I still get Facebook notifications about him, and uh, texts from my other siblings and other people, and everywhere I go, people you know have a story about the time they met my dad, and it's an example of how they're still here. The music and the interactions you had with people, it goes on after you are physically no longer here.
Well, let's talk about Jimi Hendrix. You mentioned him. You mentioned his band,
Yeah.
and you had a as a baby, as a small kid, you had he was around you
He,
briefly.
yeah, he was around us, and so my mom and my dad, when they were both alive, they told me that Jimi Hendrix came down to the either the Fillmore East or the Scene Club. These are places where there were a lot of jam sessions going on, and there's pictures of them. You could see Jimmy and my dad playing, and in some of the pictures, Jimmy's playing bass, which is kind of interesting. Um, but they said that Jimmy picked me up, you know, out of the because I was only a couple of months old, and you know whatever it was, Jimmy liked babies, I guess, and so when they told me that story, and Jimi Hendrix has always been kind of my favorite rock guitarist because he was so based in the blues.
Yep.
And whereas my brother, he kind of more from the Eddie Van Halen, but I mean he loves Hendrix, but his technique and style more coming from that and beyond, like things like Alan Holdsworth and things like that. Uh, but Hendrix was so based in the blues, and really for me, whatever style of music it is, if it has that blues feeling in it, then I like it. Yeah.
And you wrote a song about it.
Yeah, it was called I Was in the Room with Jimmy. And Joe Louis Walker, when I was playing with him, and he loved that song, and he said, I was in the room with Jimmy too, but I mean he could remember it. He was like,
Yep.
uh, and so, but there's some things you can't learn from a book. They're kind of passed on. You have, particularly with this kind of music, where they didn't used to teach it in schools like classical music, and it really is America's classical music. Is the jazz, the blues, the soul, the funk, the rock, all the stuff. Um, and so the closer that you could get to those people, even if you don't even realize it at the time, I think it does make a difference. It's like that environmental thing. If you're around those people, I think you pick up something.
So so your father was a actually legendary fusion jazz guitar player,
Yeah.
and your brother kind of followed suit, but went on his own too as well, doing jazz,
Yes.
and you ended up in doing blues. Tell me about that. Tell me how you ended up doing blues, and everybody else was kind of in the jazz mode. But I
Well,
know before you answer that question, I want everybody to know that you play jazz too. You have.
yes, I do play jazz, and I've embraced it more. But for me, I'm a first of all, I'm a very independent person, and also I'm kind of a competitive person. And I saw that I couldn't even touch my dad and my brother with what they were doing with jazz. So I
Yep.
was like, I can't even. I'm not even going to try to even do that. And furthermore, I love the blues so much. It just was something that I was so drawn to and continue to be drawn to.
And
I
your father told you that he thought you were great at doing blues,
Yeah,
correct?
he said, right now he says you're not really good, you're not a really good jazz player yet. He says, but you're a good blues player, and he said work on that. And that was what other teachers told me also. Um and so not a I recently did an album where and it's coming out soon. It's a great blues, very traditional blues record, and Bernard Purdy is the drummer on it.
Drummer. Yeah,
And
he's great.
he's great. And he gave me his autographed copy of his autobiography, and I read it in 2 days. It was such a great informative book with so many stories. um, but he said each person has their own musical, like a fingerprint. Like a fingerprint is
Yep.
unique to everybody. And so if you, just like with your personality, whoever you are, you want to try to find who you are and be that. And uh if you can be who you are and be happy, be happy doing that, you should be all right.
That's great.
Yeah.
So talk about the record. You're talking about a new record. I didn't realize you had a new one coming.
Yeah, yeah, that the new one is coming out definitely soon, within the next month or two. But the record that I currently have out, which it took me about 6 or 7 years to finally
That's the
release it.
that's the Ukraine one, right? You did?
Yeah, it's got the Ukraine war cries song on it, and I have a lot of Ukrainian friends, and I speak Russian. I studied Russian in college, and on my family's mother's family side, they were Polish and Russian and Lithuanian, and I've been to Russia. I love the people, but I also love the Ukrainian people too. And even though a lot of people say don't get political, I admit there is a political side to me. I've always been fascinated by it, and I'm very patriotic. And if I see something that I think goes against what I think are the American ideals or just basic fundamental human ideals, I have a vehicle to express myself with it, outside of just voting or posting something. Um, because you can rant and you can talk and go into rabbit holes, and when you're passionate about something, but when you can write a song and when you can record the song, it makes me feel better that okay, I've done it and people can hear it, and then I don't have to spend more energy trying to tell people how I feel about something, because if it's done right in the song, they can hear it.
And the album's "Soul of the Nation" was the name of the album, right?
Soul of a Nation. Yeah, yeah. I got that from actually from Joe Biden when he was running for president, in 2020 back then. And people said, Joe, you're so old. Why are you running for president now? And he said, it's for the soul of a nation. And I just, whatever it was about that,
That
it
was
just
it.
stuck. Yeah, that thing stuck in my mind. And as time went on and things developed as they did, I felt, and then I felt I it was a reaction to write the song. I mean, sometimes you sit down saying, okay, today I'm going to write a song. And other times the song writes you, or it kind of hits you over the head and says, hey, here's something. And then you, as a songwriter, you definitely want to try to capture that stuff. And then when you're going into the studio, you want to be able to capture you know, the, the, the urgency of it, and get the get the really good performance that represents the song as best as you can at that time.
And you got confirmation from President Zelensky. He knew
Yeah,
he heard about it, huh?
yeah. It really it was a very shocking thing, that I sent him the video of it, because I wrote it on the day that the war broke out, and I there was a video made of it that night. I was in Austin, Texas, and I showed it to the band. I wrote the song in 15 minutes, showed it to the band. We played it, and somebody videotaped it, and people said, "Wow, this is such a great song." And I sent it to President Zelensky the next day on his Twitter account or Instagram, and he gave it the thumbs up within 2 minutes. And I just was like, wow, he's actually paying attention at a time when his country is being invaded. Um, it just shows to me how those people are able to hang in there. I have a lot of Ukrainian friends, and they have thanked me for just drawing attention, because I feel like we need to show that we support somebody that's being invaded. I mean, nobody would want that, and all they want is what we want, and so we should be, united on that. And putting your politics aside, it's just a human thing to me, and we take it very much for granted. Somebody having traveled to other countries like Lebanon and South Africa and Russia, that we are very lucky to have what we have in this country. And I hope that, I hope we can keep it and make it better, and help the world become a
Well,
better place
just
by showing our support.
just think about what your dad was doing during the Vietnam War and all the things he was involved with. Same kind of thing.
It is. I never thought that I would see something like I've seen in my lifetime, uh, talking about my dad, and then my grandmother, who was, lived through during the Depression, and I thought I would never see anything like that, and I have seen things that I never thought I would see.
Yeah, and
you
now
know.
you're writing about it, which is even better.
Well, and that's what music and art, and has always kind of done. And blues has always done that, in the sense that it's trying to kind of tell you a story about what's happening and how I'm feeling about it. And and just on a human level, we have a need to express ourselves, and music is the only thing, that sets you free. Is another song that I wrote, and I really believe that, because no matter language you speak, they all know what you're saying. And um, everybody, I mean, I know I feel better when I'm playing music, and it makes me feel better. And then we can all get together, forget about life for a while, and be in the moment, um, and enjoy what we have. Because the older I get, I realize we're running out of time. And so I like to make everything count, every note count,
Yep.
everything count. Yeah.
So tell me about your relationship with your dad. How was that growing up?
Well, Dad was a larger than life. He was a superstar as we were growing up.
How did that
Superstar.
affect you? How did that affect you that he was?
Well, it just, I looked up to him. Like everybody, many people look up to their dad. Many sons look up to their dad and say, "Oh, I hope I can do that someday." And what he did was he set the bar so high that I didn't think I could do that. And
Yeah.
truthfully, nobody can do what anybody did, but you learn from them, and you do what you do. And just being around music, he when I was finally trying to learn guitar, he would tell me, your hand positioning is wrong. If the fingering and jump, he said, John McLaughlin told me, if if it's too hard, you're not doing it right. It's all about fingering. I mean, he played and studied all with the absolute greatest.
Yep.
So I knew that when he was telling me something, it was a valid lesson. And really, it was like being around him was a lesson all the time. You
Yep.
know, and so, but we did sports together. We bonded on sports before I ever did music. But when I finally did join the family in that way, it felt very good to be accepted. Yeah, growth doesn't come from a place of comfort. It comes from discomfort. Um, and I think my dad and many other people have said, you learn more from your mistakes than from your successes. Uh, and believe me, as a blues person, as a human being, I made a lot of mistakes, but I've also, that makes me human, and I forgive myself, and that's a wonderful thing. Because in my heart, I'm doing the best I can, and I loved music so much, and my goal is to make people love it and feel it as much as I do.
You mentioned your dad when the first things you remember were you were in Scotland with Mitch Mitchell, Jack Bruce, and your dad. Is there a recording of any of that stuff they did?
Yeah, there are recordings of that. It's called Jack Bruce and Friends, I think.
Yep.
It's on YouTube and other things, and there's photographs and there's recordings, and
Wow.
it's really cool. I mean, they're doing "Sunshine of Your Love" and you know, but doing it fusion style. Back then, I mean, they were very creative, and those musicians, they played at such a high level. um, and that's something that was, for me, it was lost for a long time, because when music gets kind of political and a bit more about being famous than about being good, it loses the things. And you know for me in music, there's really no ego in music. We're just trying to serve the music, play the music right,
Yep.
and then every all good things will come from it.
So let's talk about you've done some tours with some people. You worked with Duke Robillard for a little bit. You've worked with Joe Louis Walker for a little bit. Tell me about those tenures in doing that.
Well, oh, I mean, Duke is going way back, and that was way back in like 1994. But he had come to the National Guitar Workshop in Connecticut, where I was a teacher, and he saw me playing, and he wanted to get up and play with us on stage. There was a concert with, of all people, it was like Reb Beach, the guitarist from Winger, and Duke and I, and we just had a blast. We were playing like funk and blues, and Duke just like said, "Hey, I want to play with you guys." And then afterwards, I talked to him, and I told him who my dad was, and he of course was a big fan, and we I guess we exchanged numbers, and a few months later, his guitarist Paul Murphy died suddenly in Brazil on the road of a brain aneurysm, and Duke had just been had a record come out on Virgin Records, and he needed another guitar player, and he said, "Murali, would you consider joining me?" And that was like, of course I wanted to. That was like a dream come true as
Yeah.
a blues guy wanting to play with real people. And and so I went out to Louisville, Kentucky, where Duke was living, and he had me audition, and I passed the audition. So, and just a few months after being with him, because he would feature me sometimes because he liked my singing, and he liked what I did. And so there was one night in Washington D.C. at a club called Tornado Alley, and I sang, and was featured on a couple numbers, and that led to me getting signed to my first record deal. Uh, the
I
record was
remember. I
it was
remember the
called that was
first
called
one.
it was called Eyes Wide Open. It
Yep.
was way back in 1995, and
On a label
um,
called Big Mo Records.
it was Big Mo Records at the time, and they have since they're since no longer a label, and I've since come to it's now on my own label, which I'm glad about, because that's where it belongs. And in today's world, there's not that many great record deals, especially in the blues, and most artists, you're better off owning your own stuff, being in control of it. You can do with it what you want, and um,
So you have all the rights, right, to all your recordings?
to all of them except for the one I did for Marshall Chess. The
2120, right?
Yeah, 2120. Yeah, he still owns the rights to that. I don't own that recording. It's a great recording, and I think it's out of print. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I mean, it is a really great. We really did a great job on that. Um, just a live trio, electric blues trio, doing the classic, chess blues and Chicago blues recordings, and that was done at Bearsville Studios, which was one of the best studios. And I used to work there as an intern, and also that they were doing a production deal with me, recording my band at the time. But it was top level. When you record your music, you want it to be the best it can be, and that was that was definitely a great sound. And the one that
Todd Rundgren
yeah
used that studio.
yeah yeah it was it was not at Todd Rundgren studio, which is another place I had worked at, but yeah, Todd worked at Bearsville Studios, his studio, and there was another studio, a video studio which he used. So Todd was very involved
Yep.
uh,
I
with
remember.
with that whole thing, and of course Albert Grossman was the manager of a whole thing, who I never got to meet. He died before I got there, but I knew Sally, and I knew, all the many managers that were involved in that whole historic thing. I mean, Albert was the manager for Bob Dylan and the band, and Janis Joplin and Paul Butterfield and
Yep.
so many others. Peter, Paul, and Mary.
So there's video of you and Duke I've seen on YouTube
Yeah,
from that tour that you were on with him.
yeah. It was at the German TV show, and
One
yeah,
Filter.
yeah, Auto Filter, and I remember when that happened, and yeah, there it is, proof that it happened, and I'm still great friends with Duke to this today, and we stay in touch, and whenever we get a chance to see each other again, I'm sure we'll be playing some music.
And then Joe Louis Walker came after that, right?
Yeah, I mean, Joe really was. I spent a big chunk of my life with Joe, emotionally, physically, musically, and when he moved from California to Poughkeepsie, New York, it was, I think, around 2009 or 2008, something like that, to maybe 2007, whenever it was. And I knew Joe already. I was a fan. I mean, he was among the first blues artists that I had ever purchased his albums in the 80s, Um, so I was playing at Buddy Guy's. I was opening for him at Buddy Guy's in Chicago, and Joe came down to my dressing room, and he's just the biggest charmer. He just can charm you, but he means it. And so he said all these things, and a lot of people talk, but Joe, he meant it. Um, Even though people affectionately referred to him sometimes as Joe Louis Talker, but he meant it. Um, and so I had come out with an album, and Joe really liked it, and he had moved to New York, and he said, "Murali, I want you to stop everything you're doing. I want you to join me, and I'm going to take you all over the world and feature you." And he did.
So
I said,
you opened the shows for him at those then.
no, it was more like, I mean, for the first couple of years, I mean, I did half the, half the thing. Like half the thing was but he loved my music. He's recorded my songs before, and you know, he was so great because somebody like Joe, he would make your music better. So he took one of my song, "I Was in the Room with Jimmy," and then he added stuff to it, which now I do in the live version, where he added like the reference to Machine Gun in it, for example.
Yeah.
So, Joe was somebody that he would just make your music better. He would make everything better. He came to play. He gave it everything all the time. And, he said the same thing about me. He said, "Murali, you come to play every night, you know, and that's what he respected. And,
Well, that
uh,
says it all right there. That says it all.
yeah, I mean, the music, like, it's all about the music. We take our music seriously.
Yep.
It's not for the faint of heart. You don't do, like we said, this is not about the money. It's not about the glory. It's about, this is who we are. This is what we have to do. This music is so important to us, and it's our job to show how important it is.
It's the heart and soul of all music when you think about it.
It is all over the world. It doesn't matter if it has that feeling in it. And see, blues is a simple form, but what does it have? Little Walter had a song called "Blues with a Feeling." That's what it is.
Yep.
Whatever it is. Uh, Freddie King's song. Well, I think Lowell Fulsom wrote it, but I recorded it. "Love Her with a Feeling." It's all about a feeling,
Yep.
you know, and the feeling, you can't see it. It's like music. You can't see it, but you know that it's there. You can feel it. What did Bob Marley say? One good thing about music when it hits you, you feel no pain. I don't know anything else that does that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Mustique Blues Festival.
Oh man, yeah, Mystique is intense. That's been a life changer. Um,
Do you know I talked to one of the original people that put that festival on named Dana Gillespie? Do you know
I
who
was
she
just
is?
gonna say, yeah, Dana, yeah, yeah,
Dana.
yeah, yeah. I know her very very well, and she's incredible. What an incredible life that she has lived. And
Incredible.
she was the one who started that out, and eventually it got expanded. And again, this is another thing that Joe Louis Walker was the one who used to tell me about Mystique and said, someday you may be able to go there. And that someday happened. And now it's been 11 or 12 years now that I've done it. And so I've gotten to have lunch with Mick Jagger and John Cleese and the governor of Virginia and all kinds of people. And,
Yeah.
and I just got to play with John Primer for 2 weeks there, guitar player for Muddy Waters for 35 years. Um, and so they put us on an island, blues people, and they have us play 4 hours a night, and they treat us like you kind of live the life for a couple of weeks, but you work very hard, but you're doing what you love.
Yeah, when Dana was on with me, she talked about the whole thing, how it got started. Joe Louis Walker getting involved in many years of it as he was involved with it, and then
Yeah.
how Mick Jagger got involved with it too. She explained all of that.
Yeah, I mean, uh, Mick has been there. I mean, Mick is there every year.
He lives
Uh,
there though.
yeah. Now people sometimes ask, does he sit in with you guys? No, he doesn't. He makes a point not to really do that. He's just there to enjoy himself,
Yeah.
and it's a thrill. And the first time I met him, I was very nervous. Joe Louis Walker said, I just played one of my sets there at Mystique, and I didn't know Mick was in the audience. And Joe said, "Murali, Mick wants to talk to you." Uh-oh. I got nervous. Mick was sitting down, with his Yankee cap on and a T-shirt, and just said, "Enjoy yourself." You know, so that put my mind at ease. And so, he loves the blues. He loves the soul. He loves this music.
Have you ever
He's a
heard?
fan.
Have you ever heard his recordings with the Red Devils?
Yes, yes,
Incredible.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, there's a reason why these guys are who they are. They have tapped into whatever the magic, that feeling is in the blues, and we all know it. We
Yeah.
all know the songs, um, but it's the feeling again. It comes from the blues. I mean,
Yeah.
they named themselves the Rolling Stones after there's a Muddy Waters song called Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
So
So let's talk about the new record that's coming out. Tell me a little bit more about that.
the new one, the one
Yeah.
that hasn't come out yet. Okay, so it's uh it's all public domain blues songs, and things like St. James Infirmary.
Good
Uh,
song.
yeah, which was done originally by Louis Armstrong. I did more of the Bobby Blue Bland version. It was more kind of more up my in my wheelhouse, so to speak. Um, Having Bernard Purdy on drums and Tony Garnier on bass, and he plays for Bob Dylan,
Yep.
Buddy Guy, Diana Krall, Asleep at the Wheel, so many people. And then on other guitar, Junior Mack, who's amazing. And I had heard of him, and I didn't know I didn't realize how good he is. And so now we've become. I'm happy to say we're good friends now. I'm so grateful to know him, and so having these and it was all acoustic except I played mellow electric, as it were, and um, just a lot of these. What else? Pony, Pony Blues. That stuff by Charlie Patton that was later done by Howlin' Wolf. So songs that I had, really at the roots of the things of the blues that I loved so much, and then getting the chance to record them. And it was done for Chesky Records. And Chesky Records was the one who did the album The Coryells that was with my dad and my brother and I back in 2000. So 25 years later, 26 years later, we've done it. We've done this other one, and I'm really excited. I mean, it's just no overdubs, everything's live, and the sound, it's really got a great sound. Recorded East Side Studios in New York City, just in a few hours, and that's the way my favorite music, the classic stuff. That's how it was done. You
When's it
know,
come? Do you know when it's coming out?
it's coming out pretty soon. I mean, I would say in a month.
Well, you have my email. You have my email. Send it to me. I'd love to play it.
Yeah, yeah, it's really. I mean, sometimes I mean I do a lot of diverse styles of music within the blues, and some things don't fall neatly into the blues category. Sometimes they're more soul, or they're more rock, or they're more whatever it may be. Um, but this album, it's it's unquestionably blues. It's traditional blues, but it just kind of, I mean, having Bernard Purdie on there, he lived up to the hype, and that's not an easy thing. He gave me such confidence, and having played with my father, and we had played before, uh, but not in a recording context. And see, he's the quintessential studio drummer, session drummer.
Yep.
He's the most recorded drummer of all time. So, and he plays every style. Okay. So when he came in there, well, it was obvious, especially as soon as we started playing, he knew he was going to play what was right. And so that not only takes away my wondering, oh, I wonder what this is going to sound like. You know, now I'm just trying to keep up with
Well,
him.
you got to worry about yourself because you don't have to worry about him, right?
Right, right. And that's why I said, okay, he's got that. All right, everybody's it. When you assemble a really good team and that people really understand what to play for the music, that's when you get something really, really
Yeah.
nice.
Well, look at Tony Gagne and all the people he's played with, and
Oh,
including Dylan.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and the first time that I met him, it was in Australia, and he was playing with Bob Dylan, and I was playing with Joe Louis Walker, and Joe and Tony were friends, and he said, "Hey, let me introduce you to Tony." And it turns out Tony lives in New York now, um, near me. So we started staying in touch, and you know, when the time,
See what happens at all
yeah.
these years later. All those connections, the networking that you've had all those years. All of a sudden, it all comes together.
Yes, it did, but you had to be ready for it. And I mean, I did a lot of work. I mean, I'm somebody that when I get an assignment, I really like to work on it and be prepared. And when I put the work in, I can relax and just really enjoy it. And it was stressful because it all had to come together in this one day, in this one short time frame. Uh, but it did.
But you had all the pros in the studio, so you didn't really have to worry. Other than, like I said, you had to worry about yourself, how you
Exactly.
were gonna, intertwine with these guys that have been doing it forever.
Yeah, and you know what? It just made me be able to just do it and not even think about it.
Easy, right? It became easy than you thought it would be. I bet.
And that's what you work hard so that so sometimes it's easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your father said that to you too, right? Yep.
Yeah. He said, if it's too hard, you're not doing it right.
There you go, right?
And it applies to guitar. It applies to a lot of things. So um, I'm always trying to learn and improve myself. I love to read. I love to learn things. I've got 16 chickens, so I take care of them. I grow stuff. Got 3 cats and a dog. Um, I was just in Texas for 2 weeks. That was amazing. I've got a great band out there, and there's two of the tracks on my uh, latest release, "The Soul of a Nation." It's got my Texas band on it, and then the other 6 tracks have my New York band. So I'm glad to have a representation because I do a lot of traveling, and you can't. Not everybody can be there to
Yeah.
kind of capture all of it. So I'm glad. I want to have a representation of the work that we've been doing because we're making good music.
Great music. I mean, I've been there since the beginning. Your first record, I was playing that record like crazy when it came out.
It's amazing that I still remember. I still see people from those days that are still here that remember me from that time, and I'm like, hey, hallelujah, we're still here because there's a history there. When you have a history, you can't undo it, and experience, same thing. When you've been through things and you're still here and you're still doing it, that says something.
Well, somewhere way, I don't even know where they are, but I have pictures of you and I from that show you did when you're at the Capitol
Right.
Center with Joe Louis Walker.
That was a great show. Yeah.
And Ronnie
Johnny
was
Winter.
there. It was great.
Yeah, I think that night I got Johnny Winter to sign one of his CDs for me, the Hard Again CD. I brought it with me because I knew Johnny was going to be there, and
Yep.
so I signed it. So, I'm a fan. I'm always a fan of the music, and when I'm playing what I want to hear too.
That's great.
Yeah,
So yeah, you'll have to get me a copy of the new record when it comes out.
absolutely. The title of it is Deep Blues.
Okay.
Deep Blues. And yeah, it's really got just every single song. I mean, when people talk about how the blues is very simple, it's all the same thing. It's really not. Um, like the 2120 record we talked about, there's a bunch of songs on there, and they're all different, and most of them they're all blues songs. And same thing with this Deep Blues coming out. They're all blues songs, but they're all different.
Right.
It's about the song. No matter what style of music you're doing, it's about the song. But there's something about blues that if you can contribute to that beautiful uh, classical American music, you know that it's only what 100 and something years old. So we're just getting started, and so it's up to us, the people who have been around BB King, and I played with Buddy Guy and Pine Top Perkins and Joe Louis Walker and those people. They teach you, and then it's up to us to
Keep
teach
it
off.
going.
Yeah, you have to spread it, and people like Kingfish, who I love, and I had a keyboard player. He plays with him, D Vibes. He plays on a couple of tracks on my Soul of a Nation album, and I'm just so it's a brotherhood and sisterhood of blues and soul and roots and rock and roll artists, and we all know each other. We all are a part of a family, and together we will continue to make music and you know hope to bring some more happiness and some more good feeling, and knowing that we're not alone in this world.
So Morali, how do people find out about you and your music?
MuraliCoryell.com has got a lot of things on there. Yeah, it's got most everything. But of course, I'm also on Spotify and YouTube and Pandora and Amazon and all of the Apple Music, all of the digital formats.
Platforms. Yep.
Yep. But I'm also happy that Soul of a Nation is out on vinyl. So I got my first vinyl record out, and it's great. I always wanted one, and I've been spending time in Europe. I have a band in Holland, and we played there the last 3 years. Been playing, and they've always been asking for vinyl. They love vinyl, so I got vinyl. So the next time I go over there, I'll have it. In the meantime, I people, if they want it, they can go to my website and contact me if they want to get a CD or vinyl, or if they have any questions. All my contact information is on there.
Well, maybe someday you'll be playing in Ukraine when it's not so bad over there.
Well, I'm talking to them, and they have asked me. We're talking about it, and they said, "Have you ever played a gig in a bulletproof vest?" I said, "No, but I would." And they said, "There's no safe place here." And I said, "Well, you know what? If you feel like that, it makes me want to be there with you." I don't know
Wow.
why. I'm the kind of person that's drawn to danger in some ways, but I am.
But wouldn't that
So
be cool if you could do that? Go over there and play the record right to all of them there.
right. I mean, I have a friend, Joaquin Carrasco. He's been over there. He's been in Ukraine, and he's been filming bombs dropping down around him. So, it can be done. And so that is something that I am absolutely waiting to do when they are ready for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Murali, I just want to say thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy day and spending it with me and talking about all this great stuff that you're doing.
Oh, it's so nice to catch up and take the time to think about all the music that we have listened to and talked about and experienced, and how I just couldn't imagine life without that. Life would be so empty. I mean, what would I be without music? It just is the one thing that can change my mood from good to bad right away.
But one thing I meant to ask you is your brother Julian, what's he doing these days? He's playing, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing with Alanis Morissette for many years, and he says she's wonderful to work with, and he is. I mean, he did the last album that my dad did. It was a reuniting of the 11th House with Alphonse Mouzon and Randy Brecker, and I mean, my brother was like an absolute star on that. I mean, unfortunately, that kind of music is not the most popular music, but I mean, Julian is such an incredible high quality of musician, and that's why he has been employed by many wonderful artists. And he's living out in Los Angeles. He has three wonderful boys, my nephews, and so he is. We continue to play on and
Well,
do what we do.
yeah, to keep the music alive, both on the jazz side and the blues side, both of you.
All of it, and it never ends. Music, just like life, I mean, with life, I guess you eventually get to the end of it, but you never stop the journey and the learning, and the music never stops.
Nope, it never does. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm still doing it all these years. It never
Yeah,
stops.
yeah, John. Yeah, man.
It's you have to love it to be able to do it. Put it that
you,
way.
you gotta love it, man.
And you do and I do. So that's great that you're still doing it and you're going to continue to do it until you can't do it anymore, correct?
That Yeah, that'll be the end of me when I can no longer do it. I'm done. But that's a great thing. Like musicians like me, we don't retire.
No.
We just keep playing. You
Yep.
know.
And I keep going. I keep promoting guys like you. That's how it is.
John, it really. makes a difference. Sometimes we wonder, is anybody paying attention to us? Does anybody care? But the fact of the matter is, they do. And
There's a
it's nice.
lot of us out there. You'd be surprised how many of us are out there.
Yeah, no, no, I do see it and I hear it, and social media helps to keep up with with people when they're reacting and appreciating what you do, and so it just lets us know. Well, we were going to keep doing it anyway, but it's like I like to cook, right? So it's always nice to cook for somebody who likes to eat what you're putting out. So
Yeah.
that's the way I think of my music.
And I'll sit down and have a meal every day if I could. How's that?
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing, like you can eat too much food, but you can't hear too much music.
No,
Yeah,
you're right.
something.
Well, Murali, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Right on,
And
John.
if you're ever in my area, I'm here at the radio. Come on in
Where are you?
sometime. Lowell, Massachusetts.
Oh man, I have some good friends up there. I was at the Kennedy Center in last October. I played for Joe Biden.
You got an award, didn't you, that day?
No, no,
No?
the person that wrote that said that Joe Biden got an award. I just played.
You
So that
played there. Okay.
Yeah, so that is an example of how something gets said in the press or misinterpreted. So it looks like I got a lifetime achievement award.
But
No,
he
I
did.
didn't get it. Joe Biden got it.
Yeah.
I just played there. Yeah. So, but yeah, it is what it is. It just goes to show that
Here in
things.
Boston, right? It was in Boston,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was in Boston, and yeah. I grew up in Connecticut, so I've spent a lot. And my brother went to Berkeley, so I love Boston and I love Massachusetts, and I'm not far from it. I'm in Woodstock, New York, so it's a few hours away.
Yeah. If you ever want to just come and hang out sometime, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, man, I would like to know like where's a good place to play. I would play there with my band, and it would be a nice thing to do.
Jimmy's Jazz and Blues Club right here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. There's one.
Oh,
There's
really?
the Bull Run in Shirley, Mass. There's
The
a
Bull
bunch.
Run is still there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So, I'm going to see if I can set up like a New England thing. Would be really nice, especially with it's getting nicer out in springtime, and I think it would be a good time to be out there. So, um,
And
yeah.
Jimmy's is both jazz and blues.
Oh, yeah. So no, I would fit in there,
Yeah, you would.
whichever way they want to think about it. So, yo, well, that's great. I'm going to get in touch with them, and I'll let you know
Let me know.
when I'm playing up there.
Let me know. I mean, the Bull Run is always going. I'm
Yeah.
I go there quite a bit. I've been there quite a bit. There's a lot of great places. I
No,
mean,
I'm glad to hear that because for a while I was really playing in New England a lot, and then it kind of, I kind of stopped doing it. I don't remember why. Maybe it was COVID and the whole world
yeah.
changing. Maybe it was that.
There's a place called Jonathan's in Ogunquit, Maine, that a lot of people play. Duke
Huh.
plays there every so often.
All right. Yeah. I'll have to make a little list of these places and reach out to them.
You should. And
Yeah,
if you connect, let me know and come on over.
I definitely will. That would be great, man. Love to.
Come and bring an acoustic, and we'll let you play some acoustic blues in the studio. How's that?
I love doing that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, John. Pleasure speaking with you. I appreciate your support, and I will definitely be in touch with you and uh, seeing you soon.
Yeah, send me the new record when you can.
I will.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, John.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.